To answer your question, Red, she still has the cone on, but only because she had to go into surgery today. To have a grass on removed from the bottom of her chin area. Like where a big cyst was forming. And we thought, for a long time, we were just like, we're going to let the cyst go away on its own with some antibiotics. Negative, Ghost Rider. That was not working. It kept getting, like, it would get low, and then it would, like, bother her, and then it'd reinflate. So finally today, we were just like, can we just have it sliced open and drained and be done with it? And they found a grass on stuck in her neck. So she is currently at the vet. It's been removed. She's fine. She's doing great. She's even getting an allergy shot. And I'm going to pick her up after the show. So to answer your question, no, she's going to be in a little bit of a cone, the cone of shame, for a little while longer, the poor thing. What's up, everybody? What a way to start off a Friday, huh? Let me tell you this really sad story about my dog. How y'all doing? What's up? With those little dogs, all you have to do is hang them out the window and squeeze gently. Not my original joke. It's funny because the day before that, we had to have her taken to the vet to be squeezed gently. Because apparently, God, in his infinite wisdom, created a creature that has glands in their backside that you gotta drain. Like, manually. I don't know. I've never run into that problem before in my entire life. I always eat healthy. I only eat cows, chickens, pigs, etc. Same, bro. Same. After the last show, I went straight to Cane's because I mentioned chicken tendies, and I made myself hungry. Don't trust PETA with animals. Bad idea. Dude, never trust PETA with animals. There is no organization who loves to kill animals more than PETA. While they get naked in the street and drench themselves in fake blood. While keeping themselves in cage. They are gore porn. That's what they are. PETA's a weird group, man. But I mean, like, I wonder, I don't know much about PETA and how they started. I just imagine that they, like every other group, they started out with, like, really good intentions. And then they got co-opted by leftists, and the leftists just took it into, like, a really weird direction. Once while eating at a Chinese restaurant, my granddaughter asked me where the duck sauce comes from, so I told her. Honey, they take a duck, hang it out by its feet, then wring it out. The stuff just comes out as duck sauce. I mean, it'd be weird if you didn't tell her that. Grandfathers are supposed to create a fantastical world for their children. Grandchildren. Can we get one of those for Biden? What, a cone? We got Gizmo little soft cone. Instead of one of those hard plastic ones, those suck. Oh no, PETA always had bad intentions. They did. Yeah, it's a weird group, dude, and I don't understand how they became so popular. Well, you know what? Never mind. I understand that. Of course, it's a radical leftist group, so naturally the mainstream media was going to make it seem like it was this really great place. Did y'all ever see that takedown that got done of them by Penn and Teller? Oh my god. If you haven't seen that, after this stream, go watch the Penn and Teller PETA call out. It is magnificent. God, I love Penn and Teller, man. Duck plus blender equals duck sauce. Seriously, look it up. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Not that I won't eat duck. I've eaten duck in the past, like a few times. My vet is a cat guy. He hates dogs except mine. I bet, dude, I bet you leave that place and that vet is like, God, I hate that dog. I hate that dog. I hate all dogs. But you come in, he's like, oh, your baby's so great. The Will It Blend. Will It Blend. Didn't they have that? Wasn't that like a YouTube channel or something like that at one point in time? I think it was. It was a pretty fun year. Puree. Will It Puree. That'd be a fun stream, huh, guys? Y'all just want to see if stuff will puree? It reminds me of that South Park episode where they tried to puree money because they found out that money was the way to cure AIDS. Because Magic Johnson just sleeps on a pile of cash all the time, and that's why he's still alive, despite having AIDS for decades. So they reduced cash to a liquid form and began injecting people with it, and it cured their AIDS. God, that South Park is such a genius show, dude. It's like one of the most gaudy shows on the face of the planet, like on the exterior, but man, it was probably one of the smartest shows on television. I'm ashamed to say that I don't remember all the intimate particulars like I used to, but I haven't watched Discovery because they came out of the gate all woke and crap. Ain't that the thing? I just got done complaining yesterday about Westworld. Go to redstate.com. I wrote an entire article about the fall of Westworld. And for those of you, and I complained about it last night on the Twitch stream too. If you watched season 1 of Westworld, you probably watched one of the greatest moments in television history. Like, that entire first season was just genius. I've never seen its like. To this day, I'm like, I went back and I've been watching it. I'm rewatching it right now because season 4 started, episode 1 came out, and I was like, this is dog water. This is absolute dog water. So I was like, I'm gonna go back to season 1, episode 1, and just see how that compared to season 4, episode 1. There is no comparison. It's like a night and day difference in quality. And the entirety of season 1 is an example of how good TV can be, right? But then what happened to it? Same thing that happens to everything. Everything. It got woke. Female power fantasies, like the men are all weak and or idiots. By season 3, the men in the male characters are hardly even relevant to the story. Like they're either bumbling idiots or they're just there as plot devices to I don't know. Like, there was one, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's one robot, male robot, his entire purpose in life is to be a security bot, meaning he knows how to fight, he knows combat, tactics, all that stuff, right? That's his entire existence. He gets his ass kicked by one of the main female characters. Like it's nothing. Dude, wokeness destroys everything it touches. It took one of the most brilliant shows I've ever seen and turned it into garbage. Garbage. Last night on the Morse code. Was Westworld and Game of Thrones complaining? Yeah, someone asked, it was Jab Neal. He was like, is Game of Thrones season 8 the worst thing that ever happened to TV, or was Westworld season 3? And I was like, easily Game of Thrones season 8. God, you want to talk about a thing that has upset the world and still has them upset to the point where subreddits are still talking about it to this day? It's Game of Thrones, the way it ended. I pretty much am done with all media. I don't care anymore. If something good does come out, I'll hear about it, like Top Gun. I'm not done with media. I'm still going to give things a chance. Like, I'm still going to watch the first episode of the Amazon Lord of the Rings. I'm still going to. Mainly because I don't want to not watch it and then still complain about it. You know, like, it might subvert my expectations and actually be relatively decent. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But if I'm gonna complain about it, I want to be able to. I want to know. I want to have seen it, so that I'm not just talking out of my ass. You know. American television peaked with the Carol Burnett show, and it's been all downhill ever since. I don't necessarily agree with that, Animal. I think you got some really good stuff. Community was an amazing comedy. Arrested Development, the first 3 seasons is comedy that is probably unmatched. It's just such a good show, and I watch it regularly. At least once a year, I go back through the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development. That's how much I like it. Westworld, of course, season 1 is the best TV. Game of Thrones up until about maybe season 6. Just great stuff. So there's good TV out there. You know, there's really good stuff out there. An example of what it can be. But I mean, like, right now, I don't think there's really much coming out right now that hasn't been touched by wokeness. It doesn't matter where you run to. It's hard to escape it right now. I think that you're going to start seeing people start to try to turn it around. Like Paramount and Netflix seem to be trying at least to turn it around. They're like in their beginning stages. Netflix, of course, told all their woke employees, if you don't like working here because of some of the stuff that you don't like being on, then bye. Go. There's the door. Then they released the Ricky Gervais special, which was pretty decent. Paramount came out and said that all the censorship brigades that are trying to say, oh, you have to take this episode out because it's offensive to us. And they're like, well, then don't watch it. But it's staying, you know. So that's good. They're learning to tell these people no, which is a great first start. And hopefully we'll get back to television that actually is like good. Like I don't have to expect there to be some sort of political messaging in it. Hopefully we'll do that like relatively within the next 3 years. But until then, I'm probably not gonna put too much faith in too much, you know. Every now and again there's a glimmer of light, but most of the time it's just meh. It's take it or leave it. Disney is done for sure. At least for a very, very good long while. Disney was one of those. Okay, so back in like 2013, I would go to Tumblr. Do y'all remember Tumblr? I would get on Tumblr just to go and see like the extreme radicals from the left that would post all these bizarre and like ridiculous things. All of those bizarre and ridiculous things, by the way, are now mainstream. You know? Because all the people who were posting all this stuff on Tumblr were like high school or college students that had been like extremely wokeified by their professors. Right? And I thought like the same thing that everyone else did, which was, well, you know, once they hit reality, once they hit the job market, you know, and they have to learn to be adults, they're going to shove all this stuff aside. No. They were training to be activists at that point and to go out into the world and actually transform companies from the inside so that they are also woke. One of the things they loved to complain about on Tumblr was Disney movies. They hated Disney movies. And at the time, they were complaining about, this is 2013, they were complaining about how white Frozen was, right? The whiteness of Frozen. And then they graduated college, they started going into these professions, these studios, these corporations, and they began changing it from the inside, and now we have Baymax being offered tampons for men from a dude wearing a transgender shirt. A show meant for kids. They were playing the long game. Some cable stuff is good. HBO's Rome was stellar. See, I need to still see that. Band of Brothers. Oh! You want to talk about one of my favorite shows of all time, the miniseries, Band of Brothers. It's so good. Oh my god. They tried to replicate it with The Atlantic, and it just fell so short. Dude, the Band of Brothers, you will never see a better war miniseries than Band of Brothers, period. Everything from the story writing to the acting was just on point the entire time. Netflix is trying, but it's cringe with that Snowflake Mountain show. You know what? I mean, it's a lumbering beast. It's not going to turn around immediately. I'm allowing it some time to get its act together because I think they're actually truly trying it over at Netflix. I think they actually are. So I'm gonna give them a little while, and I'm gonna support them every time they do something great. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna give them a nice little round of applause, and I encourage everyone else to do that too. Because if Netflix can actually pull themselves out of that muck, you know, I want them to know that not only did they make the right decision because, you know, subscribers come back and they're getting praise from regular Americans, but I want other businesses to see that too. Be like, oh, we don't have to obey them? Holy crap. Well, we're out. Bye, Wokus. Wokus McJokus. Barf Tumblr. Dude, Tumblr was a mess, man. Yeah, Generations was not great at all. Undiscovered Country was the best Trek movie, with Wrath of Khan a close second. The Tumblrinas have taken control. I'm pretty sure. It's weird to me that a lot of the stuff that is happening at Disney right now was like the exact stuff that they were wishing would happen on Tumblr back in 2013. Like, I don't think it's an accident. Watched heavy metal on HBO back in the day, Animal. Alright, heavy metal. I was in the army at the end of the Cold War, so Undiscovered Country hit a lot of familiar points. I have not seen that one. Not gonna lie. I've not seen Undiscovered Country. It's an ICE movie? Yeah, they have moved to TikTok now, Natalie. Oh yeah, I saw that they banned the Babylon Bee, and they didn't offer a reason as to why. And that's actually surprising to me. I'm actually surprised that the Babylon Bee was... Because aren't they just like very innocent? They don't do anything bad. You know what David Tennant's show was amazing? The Escape Artist. I have not seen that, but I do love David Tennant, so I'm going to put that on my list. Can't wait for Frozen 3, where the big bad is a character named Black Ice, then. That's a Key and Peele skit. You gotta watch out for Black Ice. Black Ice will just sneak up on you. Dude, Key and Peele are geniuses. I do give Netflix better chances than Disney. Disney has done for a good long while, might go broke. Disney will have to go broke before it'll shake itself of the woke. It's just not... It allowed itself to be infiltrated and taken over, almost root and stem, by these people. Disney will have to crash and burn before it starts to turn itself around, unless some of its brass really gets its act together. But from what I understand, that's probably not going to happen either. Disney is an agenda-driven company now, and it ain't your friend. It ain't your kid's friend either. They have one desire, and that's to make more leftists right now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what their goal is. It's not to entertain your kid. It's not to educate your kid. It's to indoctrinate your kid. And that's not being hyperbolic. Disney, they're from their top to their bottom has been taken over. The conservatives in the who do work at Disney are complaining right now about like a toxic culture of fear, meaning that they're actively trying to make these conservatives afraid of saying anything. Saying that there is an agenda. They need people to be obedient there to the body politic. Denny done. When Netflix hits $100 a share, I'll consider buying. Consider. Yeah. Sad state when the Bee has more truth than Main Street News. Cleo, I think I said this not long ago. Technically, the Bee is more truthful than like CNN is with its reporting, because what they're doing is they're taking absurdity out of a true situation, right? And kind of telling the truth through that absurdity. So technically there's still more in the truth column than CNN is, which will take a truth and chop it up so that it fits into a lie, you know? Final episode of Vice and Trek movies. Man, I got some nerds in here. I love it. We need to I'm a nerd too. We need to hold people and companies accountable. Decisions have consequences. Let them live with it. No more forgiving and forgetting. Here's the thing, Brian. There are two things that I think need to happen. For one, my generation, the millennials, we were told by our parents that going to university or college was one of the most important things. Even after I was like, I was in my 30s, like early 30s, and my dad was still telling me, you need to go back and finish college, bud. You go back and finish college. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm not going to do that. It's a waste of money, waste of time. Not going to do it. We need, as millennials who are now having children or have children, to make sure that our kid understands that college isn't everything. In fact, it's probably a useless waste of money at this time. If you have a profession you want to go into that requires extra education, then by all means, or go to a trade school or something, you know? But right now, a university, I mean, I'm watching kids with master's degrees walk out and not be able to get a job. They're working at Burger King right now. And the degrees they get are wholly useless. You know? So we need to depopularize the idea of going to college. It ain't that big. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not what it is today. Right? So if we can stop our kids from going to these universities and putting them in the care of these professors who have zero interest in teaching them anything that's actually good and wants to instead turn them into their little own political monsters, then we rob them of more foot soldiers. Then on top of that, and I mean, like, I would love for politicians to come out and start saying, you know what we need to do is to just start defunding these universities that force extremist politics on these kids. If you do it, if you teach CRT, if you push LGBTQ stuff on them and transgender, you like force them into it, then your federal funding's revoked. Bye. Sorry. You know, if people are so into what you're doing, and then they can fund you themselves. And they can send their kids. Have fun. But no more tax dollars going to you guys. Most of America doesn't agree with your bullcrap. Then the other thing that we need to do is really be more vocal about when a company does something wrong and when they do something right. So, like, one thing that I notice is I think is bad in this day and age is, especially with companies this large, whenever a company does something bad, people will unsubscribe, which is great, you know, or they'll completely swear off the company lock, stock, and barrel. Netflix was a really great example of this. Once they released Cuties, a lot of people unsubscribed, but not a lot, not enough for it to make a huge dent. And their wokeness and stuff like that, people started unsubscribing, complaining about Netflix, which was great. But then, you know, if Netflix does something good, like what they did with the CEO telling the woke employees to sneak out, then that deserves praise. And we need to be okay with giving them praise for that. Because, again, I'm going to repeat this. Companies, their number one goal is making money. Now, given some companies get so woke that they don't care anymore, like Disney, but guaranteed once Disney gets to a point where they're about to collapse, they'll stop with the woke nonsense. Money is number one. All right? They'll do whatever it takes to make money. And many of these companies were convinced by these Tumblrites that, you know, oh, well, this is what you have to do in order to stay safe and relevant in today's day and age. And they don't know any better. So if a company does something good, reward them. They need to understand. And so that way, you know, like, I kind of use this. I use this analogy. My dog, when I was training my dog, I would tell him when he was doing something wrong, but I wouldn't praise him enough when he was doing something right. I just assumed that him not getting the, sound or whatever was enough for him to understand. It's not. You have to praise the dog when it does something good too, so that they understand exactly when they're doing the right thing. And I think that companies, corporations, especially nowadays, with Twitter at our fingertips, it's the same exact thing. We complain, but we don't praise. And I think that some companies need to hear that praise so that they understand when they are doing something that the customers really do appreciate. Sorry, guys, we are not TV or game people. That's all right. We take all types here. I graduated high school before I ever had a real job. I was walking beans, detasseling and haying when I was 13 and 14. Got a job in town when I was 16. Yeah. I got a job out like before I graduated college. And I got the job that I was going to college for. And I was like, why do I need to keep going to college? Now I'm just wasting money at this point. I got the job. How about revoking all imperial funding for education? Make kids go to a lending institution to make their case. I'm good with that, dude. I honestly, I don't understand why we funnel so much federal money to colleges and universities. I really don't. They're a scam nowadays, man. They would eliminate all the BS degrees right off. Lending institutions would have to assess the likelihood of default. Yeah. Make it a market thing. I agree with that. I agree with that. That's the system failing them. Systems have always failed. Family and hard work is the answer. Morality is a time-honored tradition that advanced humanity. Yep. Absolutely. No, Brian's correct. I learned that federal government got involved with schools back in the 80s. Explains why schools are the way they are today. Learn something new every day. Get the government out of schools, man. The oldest finally started looking at other places besides New York for school. Hopefully she'll get back into a Florida school. I wanted her to go to a cosmetology license through the high school. Alas, no. Ah, that sucks. New York's not a safe place, people. Yeah, yeah. Don't go there. Behavior modernation can work both ways. I mean, there needs to be at least some give from conservatives too. There does. And y'all might disagree with me on that. Your mileage may vary on it, but to be honest with you, I like to hear when I'm doing good. Not just when I'm doing bad. You know? Like in a married, like a married situation, Dudes complain about it all the time. My wife just nags me. She always tells me when I'm doing wrong. She never praises me. It's like, every now and again, you got to balance it out. You got to. All right. But before I start, by the way, y'all want to talk about how bad the media has gotten? Did y'all see this? Did y'all see this? The Good Morning America thing? Apparently, Good Morning America tweeted out, Ketanji Brown Jackson is sworn in as the first black Supreme Court justice in U.S. history. It could have been an error. It could have been a clerical error. Okay, I get it. Maybe they just forgot to put woman in there. All right, they were kind of typing it out. But in today's world, I don't know if this was actually an accident. I don't know. I honestly think that for some reason, the person who wrote this tweet, the little intern that wrote this tweet, really did think in her little bubbled world that Ketanji Brown Jackson was actually the first black Supreme Court justice. They corrected it. This is the tweet now, by the way. Correction. Video shows Ketanji Brown Jackson sworn in as the first black female Supreme Court justice in U.S. history. Female. A previous tweet erroneously stated Jackson is the first black Supreme Court justice. There's a part of me that just thinks, you knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. You put you forgot to, or you didn't forget to, you left it out because either A, you didn't know about the Supreme Court justice that was literally just sitting like that. He's all over the media. It's hard not to hear his name. You know why? Because there are 1,000,001 leftist accounts right now with blue check marks next to them that can't shut up about him. They're going nuts about him. You've got a CNN Plus dude bro out there, Rex Chapman, talking about how, Clarence Thomas wouldn't last 30 minutes in an NBA locker room. Bro, shut up. I could beat up an old man who's also a scholar his entire life. He's an expert at law, and I can beat him up. Not the flex you think it is, my guy. That's so stupid. Why would you say something like that? It's funny to me that the left is so up in arms about racism, and they are the most racist people in America. Sweet Lord. Yeah, Thurgood Marshall would like a word. What an idiot. I saw that and about fell out of my chair. I want so badly to think that it was just a simple mistake. Like, they just forgot to put woman in there, but almost guaranteed the intern who wrote that tweet literally did not know. Because have you ever seen those videos, like, they're popular nowadays, and, like, I think I talked about this before. The guy works for Fleccas, and he goes around asking, like, random Americans very simple questions. Questions like, who's the president? Where's Mount Rushmore located? You know, or what country? No. What country is Mount Rushmore in? You know, what's our First Amendment? Like, he asked these people these questions on the street, and they do not know. Somebody said that Mount Rushmore was in Africa. That's how bad they are. These people are out of their like. Our public school system is shining on display right now. So I bet the intern who wrote that tweet actually did think that there was no black Supreme Court justice before Ketanji Brown Jackson. By the way, they did correct it to woman, and I just want to know if the intern is a biologist. That's how did they know that Ketanji Brown Jackson is a woman? If a company is willing to sell and sacrifice principles for profits, I'm not going to fund immorality. That's the problem with our political system. No one is held to account ever. I think unsubbing whenever they really morally like really screw up is a good thing. I hope a lot of people unsubscribe from Disney Plus. Right? It's god awful. And I did hope a lot of people unsubbed from Net, which they did, unsubbed from Netflix for being so horrible. You know? But the moment they start to turn it around and understand that what they did was bad, and they're trying to make amends and make it better, okay. Keep it up. You might re-earn my sub. This I don't watch the mainstream media anymore. Gave it 2 years ago. Brian, we are living in a 2-tier justice system. And I hope they found a biologist to confirm the female part. Animal knows what's up. We now have a SCOTUS, who is a woman. That cannot ever define what a woman is. I have an issue with that. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. The moment the abortion thing comes back into play, she'll know what a woman is. Don't worry. I would be afraid that my brain would run away when confronted with a camera and a mic. Yeah, it's I don't know. It shouldn't be that hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting people to know every single little thing in detail about this nation. I'm pretty sure that if you were to put a mic in my face and ask me a few questions, I'd probably forget to. Or not know some of these some stuff, you know. But at the same time, like, basic stuff. Who's the vice president? Joe Biden? No, he's the president. Like, they just don't know. It's actually pretty embarrassing. Wish I could remember the starts at 11 a.m. Central. Yep. Central. Only time zone that matters. If I ever confronted by a camera to do that sort of thing, one or two things. I have the wisdom to say no thanks. Two, if I do, it takes a moment to think about each question. Yeah, but then they'll try to make the moment of you thinking about it seem a lot longer than usual. Majority of Americans are cutting back on spending due to immense financial pressure, with more than 50% spending up to $500 more on groceries and $250 extra on gas per month. I wanted to show you guys this. This is from the Daily Mail. I wanted to show you guys this because I want you to see how bad it's gotten. It has gotten really bad. A new report by Provident Bank, a New Jersey-based financial institution, lays bare the strain feeling by American families at the moment. Annual U.S. inflation in the first quarter of this year averaged just below 8%, the 13th highest among 44 OECD and developed countries examined by Pew. Gasoline prices were up 48.7% in May this year compared to May of 2021, while meat and poultry were up 14.2 and airfares up 37.8. I went to Cane's, like I told you guys, after my last stream and legitimately paid over $9 for a box of 3 chicken tenders and some of their toast, which is really good, and a sweet tea and some fries. Over $9. It used to be around $7. Now it's over $9. I don't know of a better reason to kick Joe Biden out of office than the fact that my chicken tendies are now $2 more expensive than they were before. Leave my damn chicken tendies alone. In their survey of 600 adults, Provident found that 70% said they had changed their travel habits, and 32% are spending up to $250 more a month on gas. That's a lot of money. More than 50% said they now spend between $101 to $500 more per month on groceries. I can't walk out of Kroger now without at least dropping $60. At the least. I used to be able to go in there and grab stuff for like a simple stir fry, and I might have walked out of there for like 15, maybe $15. Now it's like at least 20, 25. Respondents said they were cutting back on cigarettes, takeout coffee, salon visits. I actually haven't been to a Starbucks in ages. And when you have a wife who is all about Starbucks, I mean, you go a lot. But I haven't been there in a minute. Respondents said they are cutting back on cigarettes, takeout coffee, salon visits, and car trips. Others were taking an additional job and bicycling, which I wish that I could do in Texas, but that's just not going to happen. So if you're suffering right now, and you're wondering, when is this going to end? Bad news. It's not going to. Because this guy's not going to let it. Biden's new cover for the high gas prices is making you think it's a moral issue now. This was his response. This was Joe Biden's response. When New York Times Jim Tankersley asked Biden, how long is it fair to expect American drivers to pay that premium for the war in Ukraine? This was Biden's response, ladies and gentlemen.
And how long is it fair to expect American drivers to continue to pay a premium because of this war?
Let me hear this. The second part of the question was, would it bring down the price?
Will it bring down prices? And the war has pushed prices up. They could go as high as $200 a barrel, some analysts think. How long is it fair to expect American drivers and drivers around the world to pay that premium for this war?
As long as it takes. So Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine and move beyond Ukraine.
So Biden's response is, we're going to have these gas prices continue to go up. You're going to continue to experience this inflation so long as Putin is there causing trouble, because it's now a moral duty for you to suffer these higher gas prices, to pay more at the pump, to pay more premiums, to pay more at the grocery store because it takes way more gas to get the food to and from the farm to the location where you go buy it. It's now your moral duty to endure this, according to Joe Biden, because Putin. Because Putin. I want to remind everybody that this is complete and total nonsense. This isn't a Putin thing. This is not a Putin problem. This isn't a Putin price hike. This is a Joe Biden incompetency problem. This is a Biden administration failure problem. That's what this is. It is Joe Biden and his administration standing in the way of oil companies doing what's necessary in order to produce more oil domestically so that we can get it out and start making things a lot cheaper. The refining everything from the drilling to the refining process has so much red tape that is strapped over it that cutting through it becomes impossible. By the time these people can actually get to drilling, that man will probably be out of office. Federal Reserve economists destroyed Biden's excuse of oil companies profiteering for skyrocketing gas prices. This was actually back in May. Golding and Killian explained two facts in particular that disprove the Democrat myth that this is their fault, because this is something that the Democrat establishment, the Biden administration, has been trying to say. It's Putin's fault. It's the fault of the oil companies. Right? They like to point at everyone but themselves. The oil companies are ready to roll. This is what they said. Gas station operators set prices. The gas station operators set retail prices based on their expectation acquisition costs for the next delivery of fuel from a local distributor, federal and state tax rates, and a markup that covers operating expenses such as rent, delivery charges, and credit card fees. So the gas station, the reason you're paying so much at the pump is because they have an expectation of when more gas might appear and how expensive it's going to be, plus all the additional fees. The reason it's going up is because the expectation has gone down that they're going to get cheaper gas. Nearly every gas station is owned by a company that does not produce oil, since only 1% of service stations in the U.S. are owned by companies that also produce oil. U.S. oil producers are in no position to control retail gasoline prices. So, to give you guys an idea, you currently go to a gas pump. The company that is giving you that gas has bought it from a producer. They have to raise their prices because the producers are screwed right now. They're kept in place and they can't move. 10 associations from all over the nation. By the way, I wrote this back in March. 10 associations from all over the nation wrote an open letter to Joe Biden that demolished his narrative that fossil fuel companies were somehow to blame for the energy crisis because they were greedy and attempting to price gouge customers in times of turmoil. The letter begins by stating that they support Biden in his efforts to punish Putin for his unjust war against the Ukrainian people, and that it has had an effect on the price of oil and gas. As a result, parts of his administration have demanded that oil and gas companies in the U.S. step up, and there's only an issue stopping them from doing so: his administration. This was in their letter. There is a key challenge standing in the way of unity, the words and actions you and your members of your administration. In particular, it's regrettable that you and your White House team have continued to mischaracterize facts regarding our industry, often maligning our motives, and frankly, in some cases, advance complete and total falsehoods. For example, you have said oil companies could be drilling right now because we have over 9,000 approved permits, a misleading statement at best. More about that below. Also, just look last Friday, you said that companies, quote, would rather take the profits and buy back their own stock rather than take that money and invest it in pumping new oil. With respect, Mr. President, how do you know what motivates the oil company business decisions? There should be no confusion. Since the time you first began campaigning for and since becoming president, you have expressed deep hostility toward the oil and natural gas business, and by extension, the thousands of very hardworking men and women, union and non, in the very good paying jobs who bring energy to the nation. Given all we have described above, combined with the repeated distortions and half-truths that have been expressed by White House officials, we believe it's important to set the record straight and provide a bit of context on statements that have been made regarding energy production in federal lands elsewhere. So they called them out for basically lying about this entire thing. They could be producing oil right now. You could have cheaper gas, fuel right now. Trucking companies could have cheaper diesel and fuel right now. But the only thing standing in the way of them producing this oil and getting it to where we can fill up on the cheap and start bringing the prices of things down is the Biden administration. This isn't Putin. This isn't Putin. The fix is right in front of us. They don't want the fix, though. They don't want the fix. What do you say to those families that say, listen, we can afford to pay $4.85 a gallon for a month, if not years? Biden advisor Brian Deese says, this is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm.
Sustainable. What do you say to those families who say, listen, we can't afford to pay $4.85 a gallon for months, if not years. This is just not sustainable.
Well, what you heard from the president today was a clear articulation of the stakes. This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm.
Sustainable. What do you say to those families?
You will endure this so long as they believe it is a moral duty for you to do so. By the way, I want to remind everybody that these people right here they're not going to be that hit by it. They're not going to be that hit by it. You will be the one who suffers for it, and they want you to endure it. They want you to suffer for it, because you suffering for it allows them to have the moral high ground in this war on Putin while they stop more energy from being produced. And on top of that, they get to push their Green New Deal, their green energy agenda, their green energy narrative. They get to be superheroes to themselves while you have to suffer at the pump. You, who don't make half as much money as they do, they get driven around. They don't, whenever they go and fill up a vehicle, they don't see it leave their wallet. They don't care. Doesn't matter to them. They make millions a day. I'm sorry, millions of dollars a year. They don't notice whenever they have to, like, they could go up to $10 a gallon. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't know. But you, on the other hand, you who probably have, you know, you might rake in 70, 80 grand a year, maybe. You know, you got kids, family, bills to pay. You got to drive to and from work. You got that cuts into the amount of food that you can put on the table. If you were trying to send your kid to a better school than the public nonsense that we've got right now, that's probably going to have to come off the table a little bit for a little while. But you have to endure this. Why? Because Putin's bad. It is a cover-up. It is a cover-up for their incompetence. Putin is a scapegoat at this point in time. That's all he is. Putin is a scapegoat. He's the patsy for Democrat incompetence. Their liberal world order that they want to push on you, you have to suffer so it can be brought about. Like some sort of sacrifice to make the crops grow. These people don't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about your suffering. They don't even care about facts or the fact that this is not going to help anybody do anything. This is nonsense. This is nonsense by deluded people who think that they're doing good, that they're going to be on the right side of history. Never, you know what, when history becomes present, or when the present becomes history, when the present becomes history, let's remember this. Let's remember how awful these people were. Not just when it comes to running the country, but to you and the way they looked at you, the way they treated you, the way that they thought that your suffering, you know, whatever, it's good. It's good because it allows them to feel morally superior. It allows them to virtue signal. You are paying for their virtue signal. Bunch of jackasses, man. Wyoming farmers' fuel prices have doubled. That is not good. One guy sent his cattle herd to okay, so to New England? I'm sorry. That's crazy. Russia does not work so well anymore. People are not, who buys this now? With the exception of the people on Twitter who throw little Ukraine flags into their bios and their Twitter handles, who buys this? People, if the Democrats are wondering why they're not doing so hot right now, why like 1 million plus people have left the Democrat Party to go to the Republican Party, if they're wondering that, this is why right here. This is why. It's because they can try to sell this moral argument all day long, this emotional argument, the sensationalized emotional argument all they want. The more they try to do it, the more people get hit by reality. The harder they're hit by reality whenever they go to the pump, whenever they go to the checkout line, whenever they go to try to find something that is not there anymore and they need it, whether it's tampons or baby formula. Like, these people are screwing America. And as they're screwing America, they're patting themselves on the back. And we see it. We see it. By the way, I wanted to. This is something that Joe Cunningham wrote today. More bad news for Democrats as voters continue to favor Republicans. For all the talk this week about the Supreme Court destroying democracy, it looks as though the bigger issue is that democracy just currently favors the Republican Party. Other than two outliers in the last week or so, the Republican Party has been enjoying a healthy lead on the generic ballot dating all the way back to November. Democrats took the opportunity of the NPR PBS Marist poll last week, which had their party up by 7 points, to prove that the majority of the country did in fact support the Democrat majority against the extremist GOP. Extremist. You're an extremist. You're an extremist for not wanting to pay high gas prices, for wanting to have a healthy country that is not controlled by social justice, by woke culture. You're an extremist for wanting to be able to put food on your table, a roof over your kid's head. For not wanting to flip on the TV and have some sort of woke nonsense thrown in your face. You're an extremist for that. But virtually I bet you do look extremist from that far left. I bet you do. I mean, you look at people like Tulsi Gabbard, they're calling her an extremist. You know? She's a freaking Democrat. They're looking at Kyrsten Sinema, they're looking at Joe Manchin like those are extremists. How far left do you have to be to look at those people and think that they're extremists? Good God. But virtually every poll since November has shown otherwise, and certainly no poll has shown something as drastic as a 7-point lead for the party in power. By the way, NPR, PBS, why can we just stop funding them? They're clearly leftist mouthpieces. Why are they still a thing? The most recent poll on the subject comes from Emerson, and it puts Republicans up by a modest 3 points, 46-43. The devil, as always, is in the details, though. Looking at 2024, 64% of the Democrat primary or caucus voters think President Biden should be the Democrat nominee for president. That's hysterical. While 36% think he should not be. In the 2024 Republican primary, 55% of voters would support former President Donald Trump, 20% Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and 9% former Vice President Mike Pence. No other potential GOP candidate clears 5%. In a hypothetical 2024 presidential election matchup between President Biden and former President Trump, Trump holds 44% support, while Joe Biden has 39% support. 12% would vote for someone else, and 5% are undecided. Since last month, Trump has held the share of support, while Biden's support has reduced 4 points. People are watching this entire thing happen with Joe Biden, his incompetency, this whole you're just going to have to suck it up and endure it. All this pain and suffering that you're going through right now, you're just going to have to suck it up because Putin. Can't you just start domestic oil drilling and we can probably solve... Nope, Putin. Okay, but the oil is right there. Oh, Putin. I think the Democrats think that we're stupid. And don't get me wrong, they've had many opportunity to kind of let that sink in. It's not like the American people have proved them wrong. But I think that they think we're really stupid and that we don't see what's happening right now. To the point where now former President Donald Trump is favored to win over Joe Biden. And it probably has something to do with the fact that many Democrats just don't want to be Democrats anymore. Remember back when mean tweets had fuel at like $1 something? Those were the good old days. There are some other key details in the poll that should be noted by both sides of the political aisle. In the wake of the Supreme Court decision in the Dobbs case, 59% of voters think that Congress should pass a law legalizing abortion. That does not surprise me. After big media hits like this, and by media hits, I mean like they did this thing and the media went into overdrive, Democrats went into overdrive, activists went into overdrive, I expected numbers to go up. I also expect them to come back down. The January 6th hearings have mixed results, as 35% of voters say the issue makes them less likely to vote for Trump. Again, while 32% said it makes them more likely to vote for Trump. 28% said it makes no difference. 58% of voters say the economy is the most important issue, which Emerson says is a 9-point increase since their May poll. Of course it is. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not worried about the whole Dobbs case. I'm not worried about single issue voters that are super concerned about abortion. Because it's easy to get mad about abortion, but it's hard to stay mad whenever you go to the pump and realize that inflation is the fault of this guy right here. The big guy. 1 in 3 say the economic situation has changed travel plans due to high costs of gas. On airfare, 18% have changed plans because of issues with plane travel. It's not looking good. It all points to a collapsing Democrat Party. They are about to take one of the biggest L's I have ever seen in my time on this earth. Which hasn't been long, per se. But I've seen a lot. And this is one of the worst positions I've ever seen Democrats in. I noticed Germany is buying all the fire-burning stoves for this coming winter, and I mean all of them. They are also running out of firewood, go figure. Oh, isn't Germany like a huge environmentally friendly country? Now they're chopping down all the trees. I still believe in the end, people will vote with their wallets in November. Ennis, Nebraska. Oh my God. I see. See? Don't ask me a question when you come to me on the street. What's NE? I thought it was NV. I'm so stupid. Why do y'all watch me? That's embarrassing. You only have your money and your vote to hold bad behavior accountable. Use it to the fullest of your abilities. I don't disagree. Why do I get the feeling that by the time we have a chance to vote these assholes out, that'll be too late? Look, this might be my unrelenting optimism, right? My absolute unrelenting optimism. But I think that we can endure this. I think we can weather it. It's going to hurt a lot, and we're going to have a very steep hill to climb up after we're done. I think that once we get a leader and leaders in office who really understand what they're doing again, and we pump this economy back up, I think that we can actually be a lot faster in rebuilding this than we think. I really do. Americans we're crazy. We're crazy. All right, we can take impossible situations and make it possible. There was this one story about World War II where the Germans were talking about the war afterward, and they really thought that we Americans were psychopaths. And not because, we acted crazy or we believed in some kind of political thing that they just thought was bizarre. It's because during the war, we would adapt in ways to certain situations that were like so far off the rule book that the Germans oftentimes couldn't predict how our troops would act. Like there's this one story about they were surprised at how the Americans were capable of fixing their equipment on the field right there. Like oftentimes when a tank would break down, like a German tank would break down, the Germans would just abandon it and leave it. Americans would take duct tape and bubble gum and put the tank back together. Like that's how resourceful and crazy we are when it comes to keeping things going. And we don't get enough credit for that. I think that, to be honest with you, yeah, this looks really bad. Our tank is broken. But, grab some popsicle sticks, some duct tape, okay, a little bit of crazy glue, we'll put it back together, and it'll be good as new. They don't think we are stupid, they just don't care. Amazing, really. But when you have the CIA, FBI, DOJ, ATF, etc. throwing a politician in jail, why worry? I think that they do think we're stupid. I really do. I think that they have their heads so far up their own asses that they honestly do believe that we are these backward country yokel bumpkins who can't add 2 + 2 or know that any means Nevada. Nevada, yeah. I'm just the only idiot in the room. But I think they really do think that we're idiots. And so they think that and here's the thing, they are surrounded by idiots, so they think that everyone else is an idiot. They are surrounded by gullible people constantly. And so they think everyone else is gullible. They think everyone else is stupid. And so they try to pull this crap, and it's like, no. Sorry. Great Wolf Lodge is giving away free hotel rooms to people whose flights got canceled this weekend. Oh, well, that's nice of them. Plane tickets have gone way up, and if we want to see our grandkids, we have to fly. That's very sad. I'm sorry. That really does suck, man. You are fun, Brandon. Always a great stream. You're giving me something to smile about. Thank you, Amtrue. I really do appreciate it. Animal, you too. Thank you, guys. That makes me happy. That makes me know I'm doing my job right. Don't feel bad. A lot of people think NE means New England. I really thought it was, because I thought Nevada was in V. I really did. I'm gonna go off the stream and I'm gonna go refresh some. I'm gonna give myself some geography lessons. Provided that the leaders that you put in are actually worth a damn and don't get distracted and derailed from their actual agenda with baseless accusations and FBI attacks. I think that we're so caught up right now in using the justice system to punish one party or the other that it's going to be hard to unravel a lot of this nonsense. But I think that's also by design because of Hillary Clinton and what there's still something going on with Hillary Clinton. Whoever has information that might lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton, get loud, but stay safe. War is never good, but sometimes it's necessary. Strive said something to me one time that I was really interesting. War is an anti-Darwinian act, meaning that, the nature of things is that the strongest survive, which is kind of true. In war, the strongest go to die, leaving a entire generation with B tier meeting opportunities. Really good movie to watch, Casualties of War with Michael J. Fox. War is bad. Always bad. Agreed. War is never good, but sometimes it is necessary. Yep, that is absolutely true. Our tank is broken on fire, and 2 of the 5 tank crew members are stoned. Still, I hope you're right. Hell of an analogy. Good after. What's up, Soul Warrior? I hope you and yours are well. Was just laughing at the Good Morning America tweet that claimed Brown was... Yeah, we just talked about that earlier today. Oh, excuse me, guys. Yeah, we were just looking at that earlier. That's embarrassing. That's more embarrassing than not knowing that NE is Nevada. So I'm in the clear. It's not as bad. My sin's not as bad, guys. Did Brandon send you a check? Shut up, Carrie. NV is the abbreviation for Nevada. Actually, this stream and y'all all helps me let you know that I'm not crazy with what I am seeing happening with the government. Here's the thing, Amtrue. I didn't realize it for 4 hours. Right. Yeah, exact. I thought it was 5. I thought it was 5 hours. Yeah, even so, 4 hours is really bad. Here's the thing, Amtrue. I think, if I'm being 100% honest with you, there are way more of us out there. It just doesn't feel like it is. It doesn't feel like it is because of the fact that, for 2 reasons. One, the silent majority is actually a thing. We're too busy going out and living our lives and doing what needs to be done, going to work, all right, taking care of our kids, all right, trying to navigate our daily productive citizen lifestyle, all right, to get on and really start speaking out. To get on Twitter or Facebook, write articles, do all this stuff to get involved, Too busy. And I don't blame the vast majority of Americans, the silent majority, for doing that. I don't. In fact, I wish I could do that. If I could, you know what my dream job would be? My dream job would be to wake up in the morning, go to Meta PCs, work for them, and just build computers all day. That would be my dream job. I would love that. Like a nice, peaceful little job. Come home, raise my kids. Right? That'd be awesome. Most of America is doing that right now. They're going to work. They're trying their best. to keep afloat, especially in this environment. They're too busy. And then on top of that, you have a mainstream media that is wholly up the ass of the Democrat Party, wholly up the ass of activists on the left. Everything that you see has some sort of leftist bent to it. And then on top of that, you have social media empires that lean left themselves. And so their voices get elevated, get loud, while yours is suppressed. If you look at Twitter, just looking at Twitter today versus, I want to say, like, maybe when I joined, like, back in 2010. Okay? Looking at it today, there are far fewer of us than there were before. Far fewer. Because you see a lot of us get either, A, they're being shadow banned like I am. I'm being shadow banned. Or they've been banned off completely, and for no good reason. They have lessened us in voice, while they've amplified everyone else who is on the left. This is why whenever, like, you know, you'll see this weird phenomenon where the leftist mob on Twitter seems to have far more power, despite the fact that all the money is going to right-leaning areas, or at least center-right, right? Be it YouTube channels or businesses. Fox News is a really great example. Fox News is a kind of a right-leaning channel, and it gets all the viewers. But, you know, if you got on social media, or if you listen to mainstream media, you would think that the vast majority of people are on the left, but they're clearly not. You know, so it's this weird phenomenon. So it makes it seem, because here's the one thing that left loves to, they love to play with numbers. They love to play with numbers. They want you to think that they are a much bigger crowd than they actually are, but they're not. They're not at all. They're actually a very small crowd compared to the vast majority of American who is center right. They love to play with numbers. So they want to fool you into thinking that you're outnumbered and surrounded and that you should just give up hope. But you're not. You're not alone. You're not alone. You are far from alone, actually. Actually, you outnumber them. They're the ones who are surrounded. They're just really good at selling the idea that they're not. That's the truth. The brutal truth. Oh, no, you didn't. Yeah, I did. They really want to gaslight everyone. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Am true. 100%, bud. Kids, plural, twins? No. I've only got one on the way. Just one. But soon. I ain't done. I ain't done with one. So far, there's only one official. Yeah. Not only that the conservative content gets silenced and repressed. Oh, and let's not forget banned, like I am so often on certain social media platforms. Yep. It's here's the other thing, and people hate it. They either love it or hate it when I say this. But one of the biggest failures of the conservative movement is the fact that they do not get involved with the culture. They swear off everything that is a cultural battlefield because they're not getting their way on it. And it's such a bad move. It is literally the largest battlefield for the heart and soul of the American. And we just we pick up our toys and go home. Because it's just a leftist place. Like, it's a leftist place because you won't go there. Get involved. Get involved in the arts in some way, shape, or form. If you know, you have I loved improv, right? I love improv, so I got involved with my improv theater. I love streaming and gaming, so I got involved on Twitch. Like, I started to do things that got me into the culture. And so that way I can spread my influence. I'm not out there just being like, oh, I'm not shoving my beliefs in people's faces. But just by introducing yourself as a human being and being out there, you add your presence, you add your ideals, you add your influence. And many people do not in today's conservative movement want to have anything to do with involved at all with the arts. They don't have that spark. They're just like, no, it's a leftist play. Like, well, yeah, but I mean, one of the reasons that they are so influential right now, and they can make us think that they're bigger than they actually are, is because we're just not infiltrating these places. We're not getting involved. You know, go surround them. I cannot stress that enough. What's this about the FCC and TikTok? I haven't actually looked into it yet. Otherwise, I would talk about it. Yeah, I have no idea what they're talking about with the FCC and TikTok right now. Apparently, TikTok's in trouble and said we're going to shut TikTok down if they don't stop doing, like, I'm guessing, sharing information with the Chinese. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it. FCC sent a strongly worded letter to Apple and Microsoft asking them to take TikTok off their app stores. Oh, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. They want good souls to become defeatists and give up. And F that, not happening. That's what I'm talking about, Soul Warrior. I like that attitude. I read about that, Amshrew and VW. They suggested it. Time will tell if they adhere. I don't. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. TikTok has a weird relationship with America right now. A really strange relationship. And I can guarantee you that the party that makes TikTok go away will be the party that many of the youth hate. Significant. I mean, like, I don't think that they would want to be those people. Especially the left. They don't want to be the party that went, well, we had to take TikTok away. Some Ordinary Gamer has a YouTube video on it. I'll watch it. Some Ordinary Gamer. I like that guy. Yeah, I'll check it out. National security threat is what the FCC said, I do believe. I mean, there's definitely something up with TikTok, and it's not safe. But I gotta find... I mean, here's the thing. It's the largest video content platform right now. Bigger than YouTube. Like, it passed YouTube as, like, the place where people go to watch videos now. So, and on top of that, I mean, there is like a multi-billion-dollar industry that is revolving around TikTok alone. You know, you take down TikTok, you are going to see a massive backlash, specifically from millennials down to Gen Z. The largest because China has billions of people, though. Yeah. It's going to be crazy. My TikToks are that much of a risk. John, you're collapsing society. You're collapsing society, John. What are you doing? Good God. I love you guys. That's going to do it for me today, guys. Y'all are the absolute best. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. Go to redstate.com if you haven't already. Like the stream if you haven't already. It really helps me out. Go to redstate.com. Sign up for the VIP program. Use promo code MORSE on sign up. It really does help us out a lot. Follow me at the Brandon Morse on Twitter. Send me a DM. My DMs are open. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. Questions, comments, suggestions. By all means, hit me with it. And if you're just looking for a good time, twitch.tv/the Morse Code. We don't do politics there. It's just a fun hangout. Last night we were playing Tarkov. The new wipe is up. And I'm not playing it right now, which makes me mad. But anyway, thank you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Smile. I know things are bad right now, but they are going to get better. Got to get that eternal optimism going. You know what I'm saying? God's in control. That's what's up. All right, guys. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Peace! Go blow stuff up legally.